It's my great pleasure to introduce our speaker today, John Wilson. I know a lot of stories about John Wilson, but I'm not going to tell them all to you right now. If you want to hear more of them, you can catch up with John or myself or Kathleen later. But John Wilson is a friend to many people and a mentor and a teacher to many people. And he has blessed this whole community and everywhere he goes in this church for many, many years, and it's greatly appreciated. If you want to know anything at all about French-intensive biodynamic organic gardening, he's the man to go to. If you had questions about compost, soil, all those wonderful things that contribute to growing food and helping our environment. And he has a passion for it. He has successfully farmed, and he still teaches and consults with people about these subjects. Besides that, the building you see here right now, some of you who weren't here a long time ago don't know about our many building renovations. This room here used to have a low roof, a hallway that went down here. It was very different, and we had no upstairs. Strangely, there were steps, but just an attic. And so he had everything to do with contracting and visioning and working and bringing his workers here. And so we have a plaque over the door that you can see today as you go out, as you go into the deck, and it calls him a master temple builder. So indeed, we see you as that, John, a master temple builder, and thank you. And he's a husband. All of that prepared him for, he's a husband, 20 years in November, and he's a father and a grandfather and an all-around fun guy. If you ever want to go on a field trip, either intellectually, spiritually, or just out in nature, get him on your team. Be sure he's one of your tour guides. And we look forward to your sharing today. So come on up, John.
So, because it seems appropriate, I'm going to tell the second part of the dream because Lloyd seemed to refer to it in the Bible quote. The second part of the dream was just me preparing a garden. So, it's, prepare your own soul, which is your garden. I mean, I like to plant gardens that I can eat out of, but I like to plan for the soul garden. And that was the second part of the dream. The third one is lost. Couldn't remember it when I woke up. So the first part of the dream was that song you heard, and the second part was prepare your soil. Prepare your soil or your soul. So what does it mean to be here now? I don't know if I need these. I'm not sure I can tell you. I think it's something you have to experience. And I've experienced it. First, when I was a child, I lived kind of out in the country. So the timeless days of summer, climbing a tree, playing in the creek. I always came home tired and dirty and happy. I'd ride my bike all over town. I lived in a small town, so it was easy. I'm not sure it's as easy to be timeless as a kid now. But I lived on the edge of town. I'd get lost in the woods or an abandoned farm. Maybe you can take a moment and think about a time that you were in the now. Of course, even that is not being in the present. You're remembering the past. It seems impossible to get to the now sometimes because we're so busy But it's said that, for example, thrill seekers really live in the now, because a misstep could mean death. So very focused in the now. I'm moving my hand to this rock and that rock, going up. And I was also a competitive swimmer. So I remember times of long practices when all I would hear was the sloshing of water, and I would enter a meditative state. And in fact, as a competitive swimmer, the best time I ever got was in practice when I was already tired, because I was in the now, not thinking about whether my body was tired. I had a kind of a dreamlike trance, and I was daydreaming. My mind was wandering without guardrails. And the next time I remember was when I lived in the mountains, rustically. I had lots of time alone with nature and the seasons. The rising and the setting of the sun was my reality. Deer running through the woods, I saw. No worries to vex me. No children running around making trouble. I mean, I hear you can be in the now even then, but I couldn't. You know, and all of the great masters speak of this. We've already heard some great quotes by Lloyd, but one I like is Jesus, who said, "Take no thought for tomorrow, for tomorrow can take thought of the things of itself." And the Sufis have a saying, "The Sufi is a child of time present." And another quote by Rumi, "Past and future veil veil God from our sight. Burn them both up with fire." And Meister Eckhart, "Time is what keeps the light from reaching us. There is no greater obstacle to God than time." So what do we do with this thought? You become the observer of your thoughts. So you take a step back from your thoughts, your thinking. That's who your real self is. Oh, I'm thinking about. So you might think, oh, I'm thinking about what I had a conversation with somebody 3 days ago. And how could it have gone different? Well, it's no longer there. Or I'm imagining how mad someone might get about my political views. Stay away from those political views. Somebody might not like my hair. So what? That's what Eckhart Tolle says in The Power of a Now book. I highly recommend reading slowly. It helps you to be in the now. So you simply observe your thoughts. When you do this, you become slowly aware of that real you behind your thoughts. And it's hard to know when you're doing it, but it does happen. But part of what I wanted to talk about was comparing that thing about be here now with the coming of Christ. We're looking forward to the coming of Christ, right? A future occurrence. Or is it a future event? Is it the coming of Christ within each of us? Now. Could we experience it now? What does it mean to be the Essenes, the expectant ones? So there's a whole group of people whose lives were revolving around being expectant. And that doesn't square with being in the now. So it's a little bit of a mystery to me. Are we the expectant ones for the second coming? Are we the second coming? Or does that take you out of the now? So what I have to offer today is questions, not answers. So when you're just living in that expectant state, are you missing that possible presence of the living Christ now, that second coming? Yeah, this is a hard question for me, as I have lived much of my life hoping there was a lifting up to the next dimension. To the point where I've had many dreams about it. And one I'll share, I was with two friends working on a scaffold on the side of a building. This was back when I was a carpenter full-time, so the setting was a job. But I became aware of the time being nigh for the ascension. I'm like, in the dream, wow, it's going to happen now. But I look over to one of the people with me. His vibration was so heavy that he was going to keep us all from going. And I'm like, oh no, I'm going to miss it. Then I looked over, and that friend fell off the scaffold and died. The other two of us started going up. And it was like, for me, it was dematerializing, like in Star Trek. And then I woke up. And, get this page. I woke up. And it took me the rest of the night to come back into my body. It was a real experience of lifting or dematerializing or something. I don't know what would have happened if I'd have stayed asleep. Might have been gone in the morning. But, that was I've had several real experiences in dreams, and that was one of them. That experience was, though, hard to put in perspective. Was it a drill, fire drill, preparation, a reminder of something real? Was I so in the moment that it opened up the way? I don't know, but right now I just have to put that experience in my back pocket. Let it rest, because I'm here now. One thing I believe about dreams is also that they are all parts of myself. So the person the 1/3 of me, the three people, had to die, just like is said, in the Seven Terraces meditation on 2. You have to die to who you used to be to find out who you'll become without being involved in future thinking, which I'm sure we all do. And the Bible is full of stories of the more to come version. One of my favorite quotes is, "Now I saw a new heaven and a new earth. For the old heaven and the old earth had passed away." That's from John in Revelations. I even named my first farm after that quote because as a compost maker, I was making new earth the only way I knew how at that time. It's the closest way I could think of to making a new earth. So I make gardens and new soil and beautiful plants. And I could also pray for a new heaven while I was here. Another one is, I go to prepare a place for you, that where I am, you may be also. So, there again, that's future thinking. He's going somewhere, preparing a place for us. But sometimes I wonder if, for example, like the new earth is, and I did read this, and I can't remember where, but a new earth is part of our new body, which we will have. Part of the new earth is a new mind, a new way of being in the now. And again, I'm going to repeat, some of these things are things I'm not a master yet. So I have to leave you with these questions. What's being in the now? What's a new heaven and new earth? Is it both new heaven and new earth in us and in our thinking, and it's coming? Maybe so. But I do know that what's in my control is my thinking. And so I've doubled down on my practice of, okay, I'm backing up. I'm thinking about what's for dinner tonight instead of being in the presence. So you have to become acquainted with your own observer in this scenario and see what you're thinking. What am I thinking today? And notice as often as you can. Stop and notice. So my solution to all this is to live now like it's all that is. It's all I have. And be fully present in the now and pray for the ascension like it's about to happen. Be in that state of expectancy. You have to hold the two things together. So that's my solution to that problem. And thank you. Thank you very much.